Hello guys, I am back from another video, and today we talk about deku was a Grim Reaper. So, in the last video, Deku, after meeting Ibarra, and she asked Izuku if she, were to join the sanctum, a specific sanctum being Izuku's sanctum. She wanted to join Izuku in his battles against demons, but Izuku refused, saying that people like her should just act like normal people, just live out normal lives. But she insisted. But Izuku told her that she couldn't, because that line of work is basically hell. No pun intended, by the way. Anyway, so after Izuku left her in a sad little state, Izuku started going back to school, where Izuku started seeing his agency, where Izuku decided to go for Endeavor. Endeavor was pretty happy to see Izuku, as he asked Izuku if he were to, marry Todoroki. Because if you don't know, Todoroki is pretending to be a guy because of her father's ideals. And so, after a bit of banter and also defeating Todoroki in a little match, Izuku started leaving with Endeavor and you know and Bakugo to patrol the city, while for Todoroki she left to go somewhere else. And we ended off the video by that. Not really by that. It's more like um Endeavor just telling a little bit of himself, talking to Todoroki, but she left as well, leaving somewhere much more important, I guess. She actually left because, after arguing with her father, being Endeavor, she left after that. So, yeah, we ended off that video at that cliffhanger. And so, we're gonna be starting the video right now. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, Izuku and Bakugo started patrolling the streets. It was pretty simple enough. They were patrolling the city as they meet some colorful faces, mostly civilians and other heroes from other agencies. Even meeting some of his classmates working at, close by agencies, like for example, wait for a sec. Like for an example, Ida and, I guess, not really Froppy. I mean, they're right next to a little coastline, but yeah, maybe not Froppy, but Oraka is also there, so they meet up with her as they start patrolling the city again. Bakugo just says, Bakugo was pretty annoyed, saying, is there any action here? Besides, we're just patrolling. I want to fight something already. As Izuku just says this. Do you want to get killed? As he says this. Oh, come on, I'm pretty strong. And besides, if villains try to attack me, I would just burn them alive with my explosions. As Izuku just says this. As usual, you're such an idiot. Anyway, so, I wonder where is he? As, wait for a second. As Bakugo said this. Who is who? As Izuku just says this. Todoroki. As he says this. So, you really are in love. As Izuku just says this. I mean, kind of. I mean, she is kind and quite beautiful. As he says this. I knew it. So, if you really are in love, then maybe ask him out, maybe bring him to a date site or something. As Izuku just says this. Whatever. Let's start patrolling the city again later. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. So, after a while of mostly looking around the city, they left as they go into their little hotel where they're gonna be staying for a while. As Izuku sees Todoroki. As Todoroki says this. as Bakugo said this. So, Todoroki, how is your little, talk with your father? As she says this. It's none of your business. As he says this. Hey, what do you mean by that? As Todoroki just says this. My talk with my father was annoying. As Izuku just says this. Let me guess your whole issues with him. As she says this. Exactly. He's absolutely annoying. Only caring about his quirks and power and nothing else. Makes me sick. As Izuku just says this. If you really hate him, then try and run away from him. As Bakugo just says this. I mean, yeah, but it would be a bad idea, especially with, these days. As Todoroki says this. If I were to run away, where would I go? Go to the hospital where my mother lives? Wait for a second. Go to the hospital where my mother lives? As Izuku just says this. Wait, your mother's in the hospital? As she says this. Yeah. And by the way, the reason why I'm calling him a she is because Todoroki is disguised as a guy, but in actuality, she's a girl. It's basically like a Naruto situation or a reverse trap situation. Which, by the way, reverse traps are underrated. Reverse traps are best. No cap. Anyway, wait for a sec. So, Todoroki explains why her mother, or should I say, his mother, was in the hospital. He explains that, well, even though Endeavor acts so nice and, well, a warming face, in actuality, he's horrible. He abuses them, using his power for whatever reason he wants. And even beating up his own wife, to the point that she tried to kill Todoroki. As Bakugo said this. So, that's why you got that scar face? As he says this, or she. Ugh. Anyway, that is why I hate my father for that. I hated him because of this. I hate my father. I hate him to the very core. He ruined my life. I hate him. As Izuku just says this. If he really did that, then why didn't the authorities just, question him? As she says this. He's the number 2 hero. It makes sense that no person would ever believe that he would ever hurt a person, just like my mother. And if the media gone out and decide to, tell everybody about this, that would mean chaos and disorder will ensue. As Izuku just says this. Makes sense. Wait for a second. So, after that little talking session, sorry about that, Bakugo just said this. So, if he really did all of that, then he's probably no different than any other hero. As Izuku just says this. Hey, I think it might be you in the future. As Bakugo just said this. What did you say? As Izuku just says this. Well, you keep saying that you want money and things like that, so it makes sense that you would ever, that you would probably act like this in the future. As Bakugo just says this. Say that again and your face is gonna be over your freaking... Whatever. I'm going to get some sleep. As Izuku just says this. Alright, I'll be praying first. As Izuku prays before he sleeps. As Bakugo just says this. Just be quiet about it, okay? Whatever. As Bakugo falls asleep. As for Todoroki, she goes to sleep in Izuku's bed because, unfortunately, the couch was for Bakugo, mostly because he doesn't want to sleep right next to Izuku, and he wants to be a wingman. And the reason why, and also that's the other reason why, um, Todoroki is sleeping with Izuku. And so after Izuku finished praying, Izuku starts sleeping right next to Todoroki. Izuku facing the opposite direction than Todoroki, as Todoroki and Izuku had an awkward night. So, the next day comes as they basically go on another patrol mission, patrolling the city for a while now. And after a few more days, it's almost time for them to basically start, wait for a second, end their internship. But before that, they're gonna be having one more you know, um patrol mission, I meant. So, while during that patrol mission, Izuku was looking around. As for Todoroki and for Bakugo, they basically go on a team, deciding to go to a different, street. As for Izuku, he starts going around. As Izuku's markings, these markings over here, these markings that he has on his eye, they start glowing at a really really bright like a really bright color of blue. As Izuku just says this, so a demon's around. No, not demon, more like demons. A whole legion. As Izuku sees in the streets, or at least right next to the agency where Night Eye usually goes to, and also Mirio's over there. As Izuku just sees the several cracks appear on the sidewalk where Izuku is basically patrolling. As it starts going to the tower or the sea of Night Eye, as it causes the building to collapse. The other heroes escaped, including Night Eye and wait for a second, and Mirio escaped. But when they saw the gigantic crack, they see a gigantic hellscape when they saw the bottom of it, as several creatures come out of there, as monsters, beings out of this world. Those are demons, Izuku explained. As Izuku sees a old man-like demon with a beard, wearing almost like peasant type clothing, but almost to the point that it makes him look like you know, a starving old man. But he was wearing extravagant, jewelry, as he says this: I am the great Duke of Hell. You can call me Barbatos. Now, come forth, my several legions of demons, and find all of the treasures. Find every single valuable item for our great and powerful master, Mammon, the Prince of Greed. As several demons appeared, as they started several establishments, mostly jewelry stores and, banks. As several of the heroes started trying to deal with them, but they were too powerful. Most of these demons were fueled by greed, and the more greedy they become, the more powerful they and many others become. And so Izuku and Maria arrived. Maria saying, "So, this is Barbados, the great Duke of Hell, right?" As Izuku just says this. Correct. Said to be a demon that is able to create any type of wait for a second. Said to be a demon that's able to find any treasure that he desires. Not only that, he's able to talk to animals. As she says this. Huh, this is going to be easy. After all, he's just one. As another crack appeared. As Barbados says this. What? Reinforcements? Duh. As a demon appears. This demon having several, and I mean several eyes. Wait for a second. This demon had several eyes and several mouths, as he says this. This lovely place. is gonna be turned down. As Barbados says this, hello, Lord Flaros. As he says this, oh, it's been a long time. I wonder, how's it been since you've expanded? As he says this, well, Lord Flaros, I became much more powerful thanks to the greedy world of the humans. Even if they become so powerful, it doesn't mean that we get more influence. As he says this, you're right. And now, come forth, my vines, spread your pestilence across this miserable world. As these plant-like protrusions coming out of him, as they start spewing these spores of sin. As Izuku just says this, great, two demons of higher ranking there. As she says this, great, a lord and a duke. Hey Izuku, I should be going to the duke. You can go and take down the lord, Flaros. As Izuku just says this, with pleasure. As Izuku starts coming down and goes towards Flaros, cutting down several of his minions. Minions that resemble like statues from a garden. You know the ones that look absolutely creepy. Looking at the just imagine those angel and many of those statues that resemble like Greek heroes and many things like that. They look like that. But except they're covered in vines and some of them have cracked eyes showing off pure blood red eyes. That's basically what they look like. Izuku starts slicing them in half thanks to the help of Thanatos. As Izuku reaches Flaros, as Flaros says this, what? So, I'm guessing you're the worshipper of the Angel of Death, Azrael. I'm guessing. As Izuku just says this, yes. And it's time to meet your mate. As he says this, please, I surrender. Please don't kill me. As Izuku just says this, excuse me, what? As he says this, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. As Izuku just says this, why? Are you faking it? Are you begging for your life just because I'm powerful? Worthless. As Izuku slices off his head. As Izuku starts leaving. Wait for a second. As Izuku, while he starts leaving, Flaros' severed head starts laughing. And laughing. And laughing. As Izuku just says this. Why are you laughing, Lord Flaros, the great lord of hell? As he says this. I think you probably know why. My brother. My only brother. The demon. Wait for a second. The demon, Alachino. He is not going to be happy when he realizes that his own brother was killed. And I definitely sense him. Right now. Sense him. Getting ready to kill you. As Izuku just says this. As Izuku sees several knives coming towards him behind him. As Izuku slashes them off, blocking them, causing them to fall down to the ground. As Flaros says this. I hope you deal with them pretty nicely. And besides, those that are pretty much encountered my brother, the brother of the great Flaros, Alachino, will never survive. As he disappears in black smoke and fire. As Alachino appears, resembling a court jester, but with a mask of a theater mask that resembles the sad face. As he says this, You killed my brother? As Izuku just says this, so what? He's a D. As he says this, you shall pay! As he starts creating several blades from his body, and starts charging towards him. Izuku starts slashing at him, using his large scythe. As Izuku just says this, "So, you must be Alachino, the great demon, or should I say, lord." As he says this, "Shut up, shut up! You killed my brother! You killed my brother in cold blood! You shall pay for your sins!" As Izuku just says this, "Pay for my sins, eh?" Says the demon. As he says this, "I am a great executioner. Even though I resemble a court jester, I do love killing people that hurt my family." As Izuku kind of, well, wait for a second. Izuku gets caught off guard. As Izuku just says this, "Wait, family? Huh, so they do have emotions." As he says this, "We were like brothers, and you killed him in cold blood. You shall pay. What is your name?" As Izuku just says this, "The name's Izuku Midoriya, the worshipper of the Angel of Death and Faith. I worship Azrael, the Archangel." As he says this, "Oh, hello there, Izuku Midoriya, worshipper of the Angel of Death and Faith, Azrael. You shall die by my hands for what you did to my brother." As his hands start growing to to immense strength. As he starts eating nails made out of iron. As he says this, "Then die!" As he starts slashing at Izuku with rapid speed. Even though he isn't that strong, his strength comes from his speed and accuracy. As Izuku starts dodging him pretty easily, as he says this, "How the hell are you not dead? My speed is immeasurable, and you're dodging them?" As Izuku just says this, "Well, I am blessed." As Izuku brings out Thanatos and one of the blades that Raphael gave to him. As Izuku just says this, "Then die, you piece of shit." As Izuku charges towards him and slashes his throat. As before he dies, Izuku just says this, "And you, Alachino, why do you think that he's your brother? And why do you have strong feelings towards him?" As he says this, "Because we were human, just like you back in the day." As Izuku just says this, "Wait, you were human?" As he says this, "Yes, many humans become demons after they die. But some of us are rare. Like, for example, Asmodeus. Even though he was human, he was granted the leadership and land, becoming the embodied lust. He gave us a choice, and we'd accepted it. We're forever family, and then you slaughtered us, like we were nothing but livestock. You say that we're the monsters, but you and the archangels are the true monsters. You're... As Alachino disappears, turning into dust and fire. As Izuku just says, "Wait for a second." That was easy. As Izuku puts back Azrael, I meant Thanatos, and puts back his two blades. As he goes back where Maria, well, went to try and fight the, Duke. As after defeating the Duke, being, well, Barbados, she says this, "That was hard fight." As Izuku just says this, "So you defeated him?" As she says this, "Yeah, pretty easily." As news helicopters started flowing down to the ground, as they started recording Izuku and Maria, as Maria says this. Well, I gotta go. As the cameraman and the police reporter says this. So you must be the wait for a second. The person that's able to wield the powers of an angel, right? So tell me what's your name. As Izuku just says this. The name's Izuku Midoriya. And what else? As he says this. Well, I've been wondering, what, like, where did you get this power? Like, how? As Izuku just says this. It's classified information. And besides, if I were to just tell you guys, the church would probably assassinate you. As they stop, as they see this. So, these are actual demons, right? As Izuku just says this. Yes, and I would rather if you don't touch them, because you might get possessed. As one of them decides to, well, get a little bit far away from the corpse that's right next to him. As Izuku just says this, I'll be leaving. And by the way, I'm also acting as a hero. The reason why is because I want to become a hero. To protect humanity, but also being a worshipper of God. And I would rather if you don't point that camera at me. As Izuku leaves, as the news started, well, reporting on this, saying that the first, reported is of a worshipper of, of the church talking to them. And so the news runs rampant. And so this is going to be the end of the episode. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but unfortunately this is going to be the end. So, I hope you liked the video. Comment, subscribe, and like the video. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!